Well, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I stand corrected. And I want to thank Paul Diamond and Joe Fastang for bringing some very valuable information to my attention. And I hope anyone else that didn't know what I knew got as much out of it as I did. I said in my previous video, Sanford and my ex-boyfriend, Cabbage Patch Kids troll. Let's go to text folder. Will, I was on the phone with him for a while earlier. He's working from home today, so we had time to talk, and I had an early day at the VTH, so we were able to talk for a while. More than a while. Every time we get on the phone, we're on the phone for like well over a fucking hour. Same thing with Dave. And I talked about, he's doing his one-wheel burnouts, his one-wheel donuts and shit. This guy said, oh, it's because he's got a Detroit locker in that. Only one wheel spins when you do a donut. I said, what are you talking about? I've seen cars do donuts, limited slip Sparzy. I knew a guy that had a locker. And this is where, going back on memory, and it's been a lot of years, I only had one experience with a car with a Detroit locker rear end. Well, at least I was told it was a locker by the guy. It wasn't like really a good friend. We knew each other, hung out once in a while. And I remember being in his car one time. And I'm going for a ride, so we knew a couple other guys in the car in the backseat. I was in the front, two other guys in the backseat. And he took a corner with it, and he hit it. And the rear end started fucking hopping. Now, I know with limited slips, I always had a limited slip. I never had a spool. I never had welded spiders. I always had a limited slip. It worked. Great for straight line. Good for around town, cornering. And I know even taking a tight turn and hitting it, the inside wheel that wants to spin faster would still chirp a little bit. Even with a limited slip, it would kind of get those little chirps, And if you hit it a little more, the car would fucking kick right out and do a fucking donut. And when they were going, I had one that went on me. Would start clicking, and it would even like kick a little bit. Kick, it would kick and make noise. That's how I knew the fucking thing it was shit in the bed. So when it was kicking like that, I remember saying to him, it was kicking, but it was different. It was like hopping. Then I saw him one time when he took off around the corner, it was hopping. And that's what reminded me of, see, fuel car, take a tight turn at the end of a run down the return road, the thing would be hopping. Sometimes the whole ass end of the car would hop off the ground. It would be skipping over a couple of feet, And I remember saying, hey, is this Pawsey, ready to shit the bed on you? He goes, no, it's a locker. The only time I'd ever heard that said to me, it's a locker. I assumed he meant Detroit locker. Maybe he could have been talking about what was brought to my attention by Joe and by Paul. When it does that, it's a spool or it's welded spiders. And I've heard pros and cons of welded spiders. It may not necessarily be a wise thing to do, especially for street cars. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. So you brought this to my attention. Yeah, that's a trait. That's going to happen when you got a spool or a mini spool, or you got welded spiders in there. Yeah, your rear end will hop like that because both wheels it's full time, 100% equal power to both fucking wheels. So the way a locker operates is, unlike with a Pawsey where it limits the slip, but you're still getting some amount of power to both wheels, one just a little more than the other. It transfers the power, but you're still not throwing 100% power just to one wheel, depending on which way you're turning, the way a locker does. Okay, now I understand. Those of you that didn't know, I hope you understand. I hope you got as much out of Joe and Paul as I did. Now the question remains, okay, that still doesn't explain your straight line burnouts. We're still one wheel pill. Okay, we cleared up, corrected me. I was wrong on the donut aspect of it. However, that still doesn't explain the straight line burnouts. Everyone he's done, even when he was at No Show Nationals and doing burnouts, that still doesn't explain that. So something's busted. Something is busted. And then You know, things come back to me in time. So wait a minute. I remember him saying he bought that rear end off Sanford for cheap. You know, Sanford had to make some money off him too. Bought it cheap. That it was a 50-year-old rear end that Sanford had laying around in a pile with other parts. And he got it from Sanford. Just the fact that he got an old part that was laying around for 50 years and a junk part from Sanford tells me, yeah, there's something wrong with that fucking thing. Maybe he told him, oh yeah, you know, he glorified, oh yeah, there's a fucking Detroit lock, I'll let you have it for cheap, $50 or something, you know. And my ex-boyfriend didn't know the fucking difference. Put it in, and he's finding out, hey, wait a minute, man, this thing ain't doing a two-wheel burnout, you know what I mean? I wonder what excuse Sanford offered up to him. Oh, well, maybe you fucked it up. So either that is a locker that's still fucking busted, it's still not doing what it should be doing, or it's an open diff that Sanford pawned off as a locker, just trying to sell something, you know. Either way, it don't matter to me. I never owned a locker. My only experience with a locker, even hearing, I had heard people talk about Detroit locker, but I had never seen how they work. Fucking Will again. He can wait. I'll call him back. That was my experience. Having a guy tell me when I was in the car, experience it hopping like that and making noise, and I'm thinking, this thing's either got a posse that's ready to shit the bed. So I had experienced that with pauses when they were going. That truck was clicking, and it would kick a little bit. I could feel it kicking, and you know, Walker didn't even come to mind. I'm thinking, that's why he asked me, is your posse ready to shit the bed? He said, oh no, it's a Walker. That's what they do. Both wheels are locked. Full-time, 100% both wheels, not like a limited slip. So I assumed he meant Detroit lock, and now looking back on it, I have to assume maybe this guy figured I knew what he was talking about. He was talking about it's a locker, meaning it's locked up. It's got a spool, mini spool, or the spiders are welded. That's what he meant by locker, and I was interpreting Detroit locker. Okay, we clear on this? Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jill. You not only educated me, I hope you educated others that may not have been aware of this. And see you tomorrow for a Happy Friday video.